culture, everything, and to come back and to have this vision. And from this vision, everything in his works came back somehow to Warsaw, and to Warsaw Ghetto, and to Warsaw Ghetto Revolt. Warsaw Ghetto Revolt was the biggest, you learn about the Holocaust of course, was the biggest revolt in the Holocaust by Jewish people in the ghettos, and by that took action in order to try and fight the Nazis during the Shoah time in 1944, and he related.
By the way, right before the ghetto of Warsaw was about to be evacuated totally, and everybody was sent into the death camps. And right before that, after a few years, that a lot of people, I don't know the exact numbers of Warsaw ghetto, but
it was the biggest ghetto it was the biggest ghetto in Europe.
And the Jews took action and they rebelled against the Nazis, something that they did not do up until that point, hardly did, because they thought that things will be bad, but they will things will get off. You know, it's not going to be worse than that. But every time it got worse and worse, and up to the point that they understood that they have to put some action against the Nazis, and it was a very, very strong resistance against the Nazi military, which took quite a long time for them to.
Killed?
Yes. I don't want to go into this because it's not. You will talk about this and you will visit Yad Vashem, but the revolt is very interesting, but it's a chapter of its own. Anyway, I just want to mention, I mentioned it because it's the background in his mind when he's doing this sculpture, okay? But this sculpture is about two things. It's about the Jewish history and Jewish independence. Now I will ask you, if I look at those two scrolls, scroll of fire is because of the fire that was burning the Jewish people in the camps, and the scrolls, of course, are also the Jewish books, the Jewish donation to culture by the book, in Arabic, Ahl al-Kitab. Ahl al-Kitab, the people of the book. So the scrolls are a homage to the people of the book. So the scrolls of fire, this is the name. And you see there are two scrolls. Now one of them is shorter than the other one. Now I will ask you, if I talk about independence or history, which one will be the higher one?
Independence.
Independence will be the higher one, of course, but it's not the story, because Natan Rappaport believes that the story of independence is still young. It's a beginning. When he's doing it, it's in the 60s. He finishes the work in 1971. This is when they inaugurate the monument. Still, the land is 20 years old. The independence is very new, especially if you look at 3,000 years of history of the nation. So he took the history and he says, look, the independence is leaning a little bit on the history of the Jewish people, because the history is much bigger, the history is much wider, the history is much more important. The independence is something new. It's a beginning of independence of the Jewish history. Sorry?
The independence is bigger than the history. The other way around.
No, the other way around. The history is the bigger, the independence is... Why? You must ask Natan Rappaport.
King David is the history, not independence.
King David, when he talks about King David, it's right there. When we go through, you will see, because King David is not King David. King David is Jerusalem 1967. Okay, it's a different story. Let's go around and we'll see it. Okay, so what I want to see now, Natan Rappaport never wrote what he was meaning by his works. But he says, I put my words in bronze. Now we can try to understand it. We will try to understand it together and see what can we see, what can we visualize in this monument. I just want you to take a look. Some people say it's shaped like an 8 shape. 8 is eternity. It's 8 meters tall. and the shape of 8 is somehow can be seen in the monument. And again, the monument is talking by itself. Let's see what it has to say.